Hi world, it's the 1st of March 2022. It's about, I don't know, midday 30 UK time. When I was a kid, I was born in 1955. And like most kids of my age group in Europe, in mainland Europe, when we grew up, when we were sort of 6 or 7 years old, we were playing on bomb sites. You know, there were huge holes in the ground, there were houses missing. And as kids who were born sort of within 10, 12 years of the end of the war, we didn't know any different. We just saw it as adventure playgrounds. As we grew up, we realised that these bomb sites were actually places where people had lived and died because of bombs in the war. We didn't know any different at the time. As I got older, I was 7 years old when I heard the first Beatles single on the radio, and I wasn't allowed to go to the Isle of Wight festival when I was 14 to see Jimi Hendrix, which really hacked me off. And saw the birth of the internet and the emergence of consciousness culture in the last 30 years. And I find myself thinking that a week and a half ago, people in Ukraine were out there going clubbing, going shopping, having their sports and leisure games, and now they're refugees all in the space of a week. And how quickly things can turn. And I'm also thinking about what's happening in Russia right now. You know, there's no money now, all the money's been devalued, and all of a sudden stuff in the shops is becoming a lot more expensive. And yeah, Russia's got great reserves, but I'm thinking, if this were happening in my country, and I found that within the space of a week, within the space of 1 week, that my country had been excluded from every major national sporting, every global national sporting event, and that overnight my country's finances have been devalued by 30%, but the prices of everything in the shops, food and petrol, had gone up 30%. And if I found that in the space of a week, all of a sudden, because of my nationality, my country was being seen as a pariah by the rest of the world, mate, I'd be out there on the streets. I would be. I'd be out there protesting, and I'd be really, really hacked off with the government that had allowed that situation to develop. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the Russian population over the coming few days. Because when I grew up, there wasn't the ability to get out and enjoy ourselves like there is now. And because of COVID after the last 2 years, yesterday, we went off to London. For the first time in 2.5 years, we went to London. We went into the centre of London. I went to two things yesterday. I went to see the Stonehenge exhibition at the British Museum, which was remarkable. We saw the Nebra Sky disc, a little bit overrated. But we went to the Stonehenge exhibition. It was awesome and magnificent. Now, I'm a child of these times, you know. I've grown up around stone circles and crop circles, and it's a fascinating concept to me. But if you're in Britain, it's definitely worth going to see the Stonehenge exhibition at the British Museum in London. It's on for the next 3 months. It's remarkable. And after that, well, before that actually, I also went to Somerset House in the centre of London, because there was an exhibition of Van Gogh self-portraits. Now, I have no aspirations to being an art connoisseur or critic, but I know what I like. I've always had a soft spot for Van Gogh, and it's been known, there's a couple of people out there who have seen me burst into tears spontaneously upon seeing an authentic Van Gogh. It happened to me at the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. I got transfixed in front of a particular self-portrait for half an hour. I couldn't move and I had to be helped away. And it happened to me yesterday in the Van Gogh exhibition in Somerset House, one of his self-portraits, it just caught me, and that was it. I started crying. It brings tears to my eyes now. It's just something there that really triggers me, and I just think he was an incredible guy. Now, subsequently, I found out that his moon is less than half a degree away from my moon, so I guess I share a little bit of an affinity with him. And to me, he's just an incredible. He's the most incredible artist of all. Upon looking at his horoscope and investigating his life, I found out that the progressed sun in his horoscope had passed on top of his Saturn 2 months before his death. And on the exact day of his death, his progressed moon was exactly on top of his Pluto, exactly to the day. I kind of get why he became so disenchanted with the world, so despondent that he killed himself. He didn't want to live in an imperfect world. Later this year, for those students of mine who are already done the beginner's course and the intermediate course, I'm doing a session of special courses where people are going to be interacting with people. There's going to be a lot of questions, and I'm limiting them to sort of 20 students at a time, and as many sessions as there is demand. And one of the example charts we're going to be looking at will be the horoscope of Van Gogh. And this is for people who want to actually not just learn astrology, but actually practice it. The world needs astrologers, so I'm doing my best to help people gain. There's wonderful institutions out there which can teach you astrology, but to actually practice it, I'm doing my thing about teaching people how to practice it. That's going to start around August, September time. I've got my new beginner's course module 3 starting in about 10 days time on the aspects of astrology, how the outer planets and the inner planets aspects to each other create dynamics of human behaviour. I mean, the signs and the houses represent the outside of a jigsaw, and the places, according to sign and house, create the kind of background scenery, you know, the countryside and the sky in the jigsaw. But the actual mechanics is the aspects. And there's still plenty of places. So if you want to join in on these, just drop me an email at steve@stevejudd.co. That's an aside. That's an aside. But Van Gogh was awesome, and the ability, the fortune that I have at this time to be able to go with a mask on, admittedly, but to go into London and see exhibitions on both Van Gogh and Stonehenge, when I know for 2,000 miles away, people who would have had this similar ability a week and a half ago are now being bombed out of their houses and are becoming refugees. It talks to me of the instability of life. Here today, gone tomorrow. And yeah, these are crazy times. These are really crazy times. And in the very short term, by which I mean in the next 2 or 3 days, it's probably going to get worse until it gets better. And I do suspect, again, I've said this yesterday, but I'll say it again, that from Saturday, Sunday onwards, we're going to see a decrease. The escalation is going to have decreased, I hope. Although there's still ongoing background phenomena over the whole of March. This is not going to be resolved until April, but I do think the intensity will be resolved by this weekend. And there'll be a standoff for a few weeks before some type of resolution happens. But I don't want to see these people suffer any more than they already have, regardless of what country they're in, whether it's in Ukraine or Russia, or for that matter anywhere else in the world. And the spin that's being addressed to this, with various governments, both the Russian and the Ukrainian, making different assertions. And then they got nutcases like that Brazilian president who's going, oh, Russia's got every right to invade Ukraine. It's like, what is it? It's none of your business. Anyway, I don't want to get into a rant on that one. My point is, Everyone's entitled to experience as much culture, as much direct experience, to experience the love and the beauty and the magic of life as much as they can, because it's transient. You could die tomorrow. I'm grateful I live in a country that is at this time relatively stable, and I send out my best wishes and my love to those in places where it's not. Catch you later, world. Bye.